My name is Adam. Back in the winter of 2023, two of my closest friends and I decided to take a trip to a mountain resort town. It was peak season, and every online search for hotels showed they were already full. We figured we'd try our luck once we got there. But when we arrived, almost every place was packed. The only option we found was a small family, run in at the edge of town. They only had one room left in that building, but the owners also ran a second property just down the road, where they arranged a room for my two friends. So I ended up staying alone at the inn, while Sam and Mira stayed nearby. We were all tired, and after dinner my friends went straight to their hotel. I stayed awake in my room, playing a game on my phone to pass the time. Then it happened. I felt someone grabbing my foot tight. My heart jumped. I yanked my foot back, sat up, and looked, but no one was there. Flicked the lamp on and checked the room, thinking there might be some mouse or insect. But I found nothing, so I called the front desk. Trying to keep my voice steady, I said that I think there's something in my room. Can someone come up and check? They sent someone who sprayed around the baseboards. It helped no more than hearing "it's fine." I was too tired at this time, so I went straight to sleep, too drained to check again. At breakfast, I spilled hot tea on my sock. Fortunately, the tea was not hot enough, but I pulled the sock off and I froze. My foot had clear, deep finger marks pressed into the skin, like someone had clamped their hand down on me. I couldn't believe it. What I felt last night wasn't my imagination. There was proof right there. The day passed normally with sightseeing, but that night, I woke up past midnight. I tried to move, to sit up or call out, but my body wouldn't obey. I saw someone circling from the balcony to the window, then back again, pacing, like it was studying me. For almost 5 minutes it moved like that. It was a terrifying experience. It was like a weight pressing on my limbs and a numbness over my throat. I could think clearly. I wanted to act, but I couldn't. Then that figure went out the balcony and never returned. Only then my body responded. I woke up with that hollow feeling, like a hand had never fully left my chest. This time I decided I wasn't keeping it to myself. I had to tell Sam and Mira, and I wanted out of that place, but even thinking about telling them felt awkward. I wasn't someone who believed in ghosts or strange happenings, and my friends knew that. I pulled a clean shirt from my bag, laid it on the bed, and ordered a coffee from the inn's cafe. When the knock came, I opened the door. And there he was, the manager himself, holding the cup. I took the coffee quickly, muttered thanks, and shut the door. But when I turned back toward the bed, the shirt I just laid out was gone. My chest tightened. I didn't even bother checking again. I just grabbed my jacket, stormed out of the room, and decided I'd tell Sam and Mira everything. I hurried down the narrow hall. The lobby was empty. By the time I stepped into the cold morning air, I could finally breathe and ran toward the main road. Their hotel was only a short walk away. When I reached their lobby, I spotted Sam first. He was already waiting near the door, Mira beside him with her coat pulled tight. Relief hit me so hard. Sam saw me and frowned, like he'd caught a glimpse of something wrong. "You look like you've seen a ghost," he said. Mira stepped forward, concerned in her eyes. "Adam, what happened?" And that was it. I couldn't hold it back anymore. I told them everything right there in the lobby. Sam's jaw tightened with every word. Then Mira said, "We're going back. Now, grab your stuff, and we leave that inn together." Sam shook his head. "I don't think you should step foot in there again." And just like that, we turned away from the inn for good. Every step back toward their hotel felt like I was peeling something heavy off my chest. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't shake the thought of that shirt on the bed, gone without a trace, like the place itself had swallowed it whole. I've stayed in dozens of hotels over the years, but there's one night I can't shake. It happened 3 years ago in Vermont, during a work trip. The conference ran late, and the only nearby hotel with an empty room was an old brick building on the edge of town. The lobby was quiet when I walked in. Hotels, even small ones, usually have some background noise. TV in the lounge, footsteps on the stairs, a bell ringing at the desk. But nothing here. The man at the desk looked up slowly, wearing a suit that seemed a size too big. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Room 6, he said, sliding the card toward me. My room was at the end of a narrow hallway on the second floor. The carpet was faded, patterned with little flowers that had worn down to smudges. The air smelled faintly of mildew. Inside, the room was simple. One bed, a dresser, a small desk under a tall window. The sheets were tucked too tight, crisp like they'd been ironed that same morning. It wasn't dirty, but it didn't feel lived in. I was exhausted, and I told myself I just needed to sleep. Around midnight, I woke up to the sound of footsteps above me. Heavy ones. The problem was, there was no floor above me. At first, I thought maybe someone from the staff was on the roof. The sound was of slow, dragging steps. Back and forth. I lay there frozen, staring at the ceiling. Then, just when I thought it had stopped, then came the knock. I sat up and opened the door, but the hall was empty. Just the same worn carpet stretching down to the stairs. I shut the door and locked it. My chest felt heavy this time. I grabbed the room phone and dialed the front desk. A sleepy voice answered on the second ring. "Hi, room 6, I said. "Someone just knocked on my door. There's nobody in the hall when I looked." A pause. "Sir, our night clerk is doing rounds. There shouldn't be anyone up there." The voice was flat, professional. "Do you want me to send someone? Try to sleep. If it continues, we'll look into it in the morning." His tone had the polite finality of someone closing a file. It wasn't a refusal so much as a dismissal, but to me, it felt like a refusal, like whatever I was hearing wasn't worth disturbing the night clerk for. The line clicked off before I could argue. The handset felt heavy in my hand. For a few seconds I sat very still, listening to the tiny noises of the room, the hum of the heater, my own heartbeat thudding loud in my ears. The building sounded ordinary, and that made it worse. I told myself to be rational. Old hotels have quirks, faulty wiring, drafty corridors, pipes that groan when the temperature drops. I shut the light and tried to sleep again. That's when it hit. A violent crash against my room door, loud enough to shake the frame. Something clattered right outside, like glass shattering across the hall carpet. I was upright in an instant. And then, clear as day, came a voice. But it wasn't from the hall. It came from the bathroom I had just left, every muscle in my body locked. There was no place in there for anyone to hide, and yet the voice was inside. I grabbed my bag, unlocked the door, but my eyes darted straight to the carpet outside. I expected to see broken glass, or whatever it was that had made that sharp, shattering sound. But there was nothing, not a single shard. Just the same worn, flower-patterned carpet, stretching down the hall as if nothing had happened. I bolted down the hallway, didn't look back, and didn't wait for the elevator. I didn't stop until I hit the bottom of the stairs, taking them two at a time. The desk sat empty. "Hello," I called out, voice shaking. It echoed once, then faded into silence. No reply. No clerk stepped out from the back. I waited, listening, but nothing. I didn't wait for anyone to appear. I pushed through the front doors and walked away without looking back. I didn't ask for a refund. I didn't want the courtesy of an explanation. They say travel clears your mind. But that evening, my friend and I were driving back from a work trip in another city. Hours on the road had drained us. By night, we were exhausted. We had planned to push through, but the fog grew thick. We were deep in the mountains now. No towns, no traffic, nothing but endless empty roads. We decided to find a hotel for the night. After searching for miles, we finally spotted one. Small, quiet, almost hidden in the trees. We looked at each other. Neither of us wanted to stay there, but with no other option, we checked in. At the reception, the manager handed us keys to separate rooms. My friend stretched and yawned. "I'm dead tired," he said. "I'm going straight to sleep." I nodded. "All right, you go ahead. I'll order some coffee first, then turn in." "Coffee?" He smirked. "Not me, man. I'm out." And with that, he disappeared into his room. I carried my bag to mine and pushed the door open and locked it behind me. Dropping my bag, I stepped into the washroom. A few minutes later, I froze. A faint creak echoed through the room, like my door had just opened. Nobody was supposed to come in without knocking. I rushed out of the washroom. The door was slightly ajar, swaying with the draft, but the room was empty. Then the door knocked. I went to check, and a guy was standing with a towel and soap. I was angry, but kept my calm, and asked, "Why did you open the door?" He replied, "Sir, I did not. The door was already open when I knocked. I was sure I had locked it when I came in, but did not think much." The guy handed over the towel and soap and went back. I tried to convince myself it was just old hinges. I sat on the edge of the bed, thinking of ordering coffee, when a sharp knock echoed at the door. Midnight knocks in a place like this weren't exactly comforting. I opened it slowly. My friend stood there, holding 2 steaming cups of coffee. He smiled. "I know you never sleep well away from home. Thought I'd give you some company." Relief hit me harder than the caffeine ever could. I let out a shaky laugh. He handed me a cup and sat down across from me. We talked a little, and eventually, he stood, stretched, and said, "All right, I'll let you get some sleep." With that, he left. I remember locking the door again, still uneasy, but thankful for the company. Morning came. In the daylight, the hotel didn't seem half as scary. At breakfast, I spotted my friend at the table and joined him. I asked him how he slept after the coffee. He looked up, confused. "Coffee?" I said, "The coffee you brought last night." For a beat, he laughed it off. "No, I never left my room. I was so tired. I crashed the moment I got in, slept straight through." He watched my face, and then the color drained from his own. My grip on the table tightened. My throat went dry. "You're telling me you weren't in my room last night?" His voice sharpened. "I'm serious. I never left." I told him everything, about the creak, the knock, and the coffee. At first he thought it was some bad joke. Then his disbelief slipped away. He started nodding. "We need to get out of here," I said finally, and we both stood up without another word. We checked out in a rush, paid the bill, and headed for the car. We both felt the same cold, unsettled knot in our stomachs. Whatever had been in that room the night before, whether it had been trying to comfort me or to fool me, it left us with the same conclusion. That hotel wasn't a place you wanted to linger around. We started the car and drove away, leaving the trees and the silent building behind.